Hi, this is the video that I promised you about my book of the year, the book that I read in 2021 that I thought was absolutely amazing. If you go through if you've sort of been watching my videos regularly, you know that when I do my monthly wrap-ups, I always pick a book of the month. So I've got 12 books of the month, and from those I picked my favourite. The first book that I picked out in January was Light Perpetual by Frances Spufford, and this was actually put on the book along list this year. And it is a story of second chances. The inspiration came from a plaque in London where a bomb had gone off in 1944 and a group of teenagers died. And in this book, he gives them a second chance. What would have happened if they'd have lived? And it's a really inspiring book. It was a really full of would-be's and might-be's and could-be's. So that was my book of January. The book I picked out in February was Maggie O'Farrell's I Am. And this was one of my 5 stars. And it's a memoir, and she writes about 7 occasions when she came close to death. And I found this absolutely stunning. I found it emotive, powerful, poignant, and I loved it. So that was my 5-star read from Maggie O'Farrell's I Am. In March, I read The Beautiful Ones by Sylvia Marina Garcia. And this, after reading, which was the Gothic Mystery or something, the other one she did? I can't remember, I haven't got the title. But after reading that one, I was expecting it to be horror. But it wasn't. It was a love triangle. And it was a beautiful atmosphere. We have Nina and Hector, who are both telekinetic. And there's a story about society and class and aristocracy, and there's beautiful character building in this, and I almost got Jane Austen vibes as well in this one. In April, my book of the month was one of the ones that I read for the Carnegie Prize, but I read all the ones that were shortlisted for the Carnegie Award, and this was my book of the month for April, and it's a book in verse, and it's about a young girl who's got a desire to run. Her passion is running, but she's the daughter of Indian immigrants. Her parents are illiterate, so she is their voice, and her father, she's trapped by him. She's trapped by his rules, by his expectations, and it's her story. Can she be a rebel? Can she run? And I found it really emotional, and it was excellent. And it's in verse, and it's a quick read, but it's a powerful read at the same time. In May, my book of the month was The Hummingbird by Sandra Veronese. And this was a very sort of gentle book. It's almost a book about a man who stands still. And we have his timeline from 1970 to 2036. And it talks about love and loss and family and how he just copes with everything. And again, it's a beautiful book, full of tears, well, for me anyway, and very poignant. And the ending was beautiful. So that was my book of the month for May. So moving on to June, what did I read in June? My book of the month for June was Maggie O'Farrell again. She appears twice on this list, Hamnet. And it focuses on the family of Shakespeare. And it's his wife and how she copes with the death of the son. and it focuses on family, it focuses on grief, and it's her heartbreaking grief at the loss of her son. And again, a beautiful story, very emotional. Are you seeing a trend here that I keep picking the my books of the month keep being the ones that make me cry? There's a little bit of theme going on here, I think. In July, what did we read in July? In July, my book of the month was a thriller, and it was The Whisper Man by Alex North. And this one, I didn't see the ending coming. I didn't see the ending at all. There is tension throughout because we have 20 years children were taken, boys were being taken, and the guy who did it's in jail. So Tom and Jake, they move into this town, and almost as soon as they move in, another boy goes missing. So is history repeating itself? And the whispers are because 20 years ago the boys heard whispering outside their door, outside their bedroom window, and the whispers have started again. So that one was a really exciting one. It was a page turner, and I didn't see the ending coming. In August, we moved on to fantasy, and it was Midnight at Everwood by M.A. Kuznia. And this is a magical retelling of The Nutcracker. And we've got Marietta, who has dreams of being a ballet dancer, but because we're in the early 1900s, her father says no, when she reaches 21, she's got to be a respectable Edwardian lady. And we have the magic because we've got Dr. Drosselmeyer, who is almost a magician, and when Marietta falls through almost this magical theatre set that he's built into a different world, and we've got sugar palaces and beautiful descriptions and magic and villains, and loved it, absolutely. So a bit of magical fantasy. Right, I need to switch to another book now for September. What did I read in September? My book of the month in September was another magical fantasy, and it was Gilded by Marissa Meyer. And this was a retelling of Rumpelstiltskin, dark, gothic, beautiful. I loved it. That we had gruesome ghouls, and in the story of Rumpelstiltskin, yes, she gets put into a castle and has to spin gold. This one is the same, but we've also got a love interest as well. Fantastic, and I can't wait for the sequel to come out. And she's just announced that the sequel's going to be called Cursed, and it comes out November this year, I think. So I'll be watching out for that one. October, my book of the month was this one. It was on the Booker shortlist, and The Fortune Men, and I found that one super. It's based on fact, and it's the story of Mahmood and how he's got this belief in British justice, and when he gets arrested for a murder, it sort of shows his belief, and is his belief founded or unfounded. And a fantastic story, very, very powerful and wonderfully retold, and very moving as well, because he believes that his innocence will prevail, that everybody will see that of course he didn't do it. So that was a really good one. And in November, my book of the month, what did I read in November? It was The Appeal by Janice Hallett. And this was a really different way of telling a crime story, because it's through emails, and the reader has to pick up the clues from the emails as they're going along, which I found brilliant. I loved it. I loved trying to pick out the clues. So that was my book of the month in November. And the one I have just finished in December, my book of the month for December is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. And magical, beautiful, an ode to reading, an ode to books, lots of interwoven stories. Absolutely love that one. So those were the 12 books that I have picked out over the year. But my book of the year, it was difficult because I had 2 5-stars. I had this one as the 5-star and I had Maggie O'Farrell's 5-star. But I am going for Maggie O'Farrell because I found her memoir, I Am, so powerful, so beautiful. That blew me away right at the beginning of the year in that the video I did in February about that book. I said that book would take a lot of beating to be my book of the year. And this came close. But Maggie O'Farrell, I Am is still my book of the year of 2021. So I wonder what my book of the year will be this year. Can't wait to find out. So happy reading. Take care. Bye.